Google has now spread into every country. Every single person who has access to the internet, billions of people, giving their information over to Google. So Google has become, in its behavior, a privatized version of the NSA. It's not that it's doing things that are illegal. It's not. But what it is doing legally is collecting as much information about people as possible, storing it, indexing it, using it to create profiles of people to predict their interests and behaviors, and then selling that to advertisers and others. And that is the same procedure that the National Security Agency, or GCHQ, goes through. And that's why the National Security Agency has then latched on top of what Google is collecting.
But Google has said that any spying by the NSA is outrageous.
Well, they eventually came late to that position, but they've been involved since at least 2002, working with the NSA in terms of contracts. They are formally listed as part of the Defence Industrial Base. Since 2009, they've been engaged in the PRISM system, where information collected by Google is nearly all information collected by Google is available to the National Security Agency. People don't know what Google is. I mean, Google has been reasonably successful in the US debate, shifting its collaboration with the NSA towards the NSA itself. That that Google was sort of intimating this as something that it was unknowingly partook in or was forced into, and that's not true. It might have been forced in. There are, later on down the track, there are coercive maneuvers that are used against these high-tech companies. But at an institutional level, Google is deeply involved in US foreign policy.
You talk in the book about your pride in the role that WikiLeaks played in the Arab Spring. When you look at the Middle East now, we have a power vacuum out of which has emerged Islamic State, ISIS. IS is very sophisticated in its use of the internet and particularly social media as a propaganda tool, as a tool for radicalisation, recruitment. Is there a case there where we should see some degree of censorship?
That's an interesting question. The answer is not yet, and censorship is a very slippery slope. Yes, of course, it's putting out propaganda to try and provoke the West. Why do they want to provoke the West? They want to provoke the West in order to unify the disagreements that the rest of the Sunni population has in Iraq with ISI.
You've been here for 2 years. Chelsea Manning has been jailed for 35 years. There's been a lot of collateral damage, I suppose. Has it been worth it?
Amnesty International has formally found that Chelsea Manning is a prisoner of conscience. They're up for appeal at the US Army Criminal Court of Appeal later this year, so hopefully there'll be a recognition that was an unjust act. For me, when I've been involved in these sorts of publications for a long time, but when we started publishing the US diplomatic cables, I predicted that it would take 5 to 7 years to be clear of this process. I think that is going to be correct. I think in fact, I am sure that the view of what has happened historically will be favourable. And the organisation, WikiLeaks, the publisher, the organisation is in the black, unlike many publishers.
What is the end game for you? You talked recently about leaving soon. How? When?
Something really important has happened here in the UK. There has been a recognition inside judicial circles and inside the Tory backbench that what has happened here was wrong and shouldn't happen to anyone else. I haven't been charged. I haven't been charged with an offence in any country. And so as a result, it's an absurd situation that someone should be extradited before they have even been charged. And new legislation has been drafted and has been put into law earlier this year to reflect that concern and a number of other concerns. So we believe that it is now inevitable that my asylum will cease to be obstructed.
So where will you go? Because you are wanted for questioning by the Swedish authorities.
For the past 4 years, since the very beginning, I have been saying, please ask me questions, let us submit a statement, let me do a video interview, let me do a telephone call, etc. And there has been a refusal, and there has been a refusal to give a proper explanation as to even why there's a refusal.
What has the last 2 years been like? What has the impact been on you personally and on WikiLeaks?
On WikiLeaks, it in some ways has been positive. That is, an embassy is a protective environment that is, to a degree, a national security reporter's dream. You cannot be subpoenaed from an embassy. You cannot be arrested in the middle of the night for people investigating your publications. On the other hand, there is extensive surveillance outside this embassy. So that makes, yes, it a difficult situation for me to meet with people I would normally meet with in the course of my work.
And personally, you dedicate the book to your family, who you say you love and miss very much. What impact has it had on them?
The impact on my family is severe. My family didn't ask for such a situation. Perhaps by the nature of my work, I did, but my family didn't.
And what next?
There's a lot of interesting things happening to the internet. The internet, because it has merged with society, is now the future destiny of human society. Unlike our nation states, the internet is a global phenomenon. So the laws and standards that we erect on the internet, we're erecting for the whole world at once. So if we get them wrong, it will affect everywhere at once. So those are the stakes.